Hello, my friends. It looks like we are live. So, we are back with some more Hati development. Yesterday we ended a little bit abruptly. I was not feeling well and Unity crashed and a bunch of other nonsense. So, what I was about to do is test and see if the prey will rotate between all of the different states. So that's what we're testing right now. Because, like, hypothetically, he should go from hiding to drinking to eating to resting. And I'm going to make sure before I start it that each of these states have a debug log so that I can know that they're actually in the state that I want them to be in. Eating and drinking have one, and then resting also has one. So this should just work. But Todd Howarding your way through life is it's something else, you know? So I entered resting. It's right now the time is 10 seconds, but I should probably speed up the time. It entered drinking. And hypothetically it should be going to different locations in each of these states and it should be prioritizing the ones that are closer. My guess is that it is doing those things based on the fact that we're reusing the same code that we did before. It's just more generic now. So I think that said entered. Oh, there's more. Okay. Entered resting again. Entered eating. Let's just make sure that this is an eating node. That is an eating node. Okay, I think we are absolutely cooking, baby. We are absolutely cooking. I hope that Unity just compiles every time like I would like it to do. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Unity will not be kind to me. So today, last time we finished the state management effectively. Like, yes, we have to expand upon state management, but we have the bones there. The bones of state management exists. Today we are working on Hati Hati threat response. So we're going to organize this a little bit more for funsies. So this up here is active layer's position is locked. Well, do a new layer, my friend. Still locked. Oh, it's pulling me out of the text tool. Day 2. And we'll make this 60. So these things happened in day 2. And now we're on day 3. And over here was day 1. So day 3, we're probably almost exclusively going to be handling threat response. Because the prey idles on its own. I think there's only one more thing that I'm going to want to incorporate, and it's actually going to be in the prey movement controller script. I'm probably going to want to allow a sub-transform array to define different points around the like drinking or eating station or resting station that the animal could drink from or eat from. And maybe what I do is those are just part of a bigger array. And then it just yeah. So I would just include all of the points separately. Yeah, I would include all of the points separately in the base array, and it should still calculate perfectly fine. And it removes an extra step. I guess it would maybe be slightly less CPU performant and slightly more memory performant. I don't know. I don't know how memory works. I would assume that if you define a completely new variable, even if you have two arrays and they both contain the same number of, if you have two arrays versus one array, and the two arrays contain the same number of nodes as the one array, my guess would be that the two arrays that contain the same number of nodes are still going to take up more data, even if like they fill a total of 6 positions and the one array fills a total of 6 positions. Because you have to also have room and memory for the. It doesn't matter. This is like really, this is super hyper optimization-y things that don't matter. Would be my guess. I don't know anything though. All right, so we have day 3. We are working on Hati threat response, and day 4. All we're gonna be doing. Here's our preview. Okay. All we're gonna be doing on day 4 is eating the prey. That's it. It's gonna be spawning and despawning. But for now, day 3, Hati threat response. That's what we're doing. In order to do that, I think I'm going to need to bring all of this information into the main game. So I'm going to start by loading it. I'm going to check something super fast. If I get rid of this and I save, and I go to Unity, it's not compiling. Because this console command should not have been run. So we need to figure that out. That's not okay. That is absolutely not okay. Unity console Unity auto refresh when saving, recompile when saving scripts. Visual Studio Code. And we want to say not. Somebody had it here actually. Just delete the library folder. That simple. It might be that simple. Oh, now it recompiles. Okay. What about now? Of course not. Well, if that's the case, let's go do that. Where did I save it? Probably under here. Yeah. Delete. Then I probably need to reload the project. Or, oh no. It looks like the things are there, they're just not displaying. So we're going to exit out of the project and reload it. Alright, one more time. Delete. Save. Go back to Unity. No recompile. Cringe. Just tell me to delete something else? Plus delete all the .ca project files. Well, we're not going to worry about it. I'll grab all of them. I think I'll copy all of them over besides iState because obviously I already have that. Shouldn't there be a... Oh, I was like, where is the scripts folder? I didn't make a scripts folder in this project. Drinking, eating, hiding, idle, movement controller, resting, state manager, Heidi manager? What is this? Oh, shit. Look at that. I don't think I'm using this for anything. Alright, so if I just save it and go back, it's still not working. That's fine. As long as it works on the main class. Main project. Oh, shit. I should probably have my screen showing, huh? My brain is moving at 2 kilometers per 500 years right now. So these need to go... here, 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 here. Oh, I might scream. I won't scream, but I want to scream. There we go. Now do you... I haven't opened it yet. I was going to say do you recompile, but... Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to want to put... First thing we're going to want to do is bake a nav mesh. So we're going to I'm going to call this nav mesh. Add component. Nav mesh surface. Bake. Awesome. Look at the little wabbit. This guy might need a collider, I'm not sure. I mean, he definitely will need a collider. So you're going to be... Are you prefabbed? You are prefabbed. We're going to want a nav mesh agent on you. We are going to make you rabbitoid. All of these settings are probably fine. We'll increase your drop distance. And then, oh my god, this glider might be a little big actually. We're gonna decrease your height. We'll set your drop distance to like 0.25. And then we need you to have a script on you. We need the price state manager on you. Then we're going to need to define the same things we defined before. Are you on nav mesh level? You're close. I think we might start with just 2 of each kind of node, since we already know that these work. So we'll say eating node 1 and 2. And we'll even create a folder. And then we need resting nodes, resting node 1 and 2. We need drinking nodes. And 2. And we need hiding nodes. And we'll make these a little more spread out. All right, and then we need to put all of these into the array on the state manager. These really need to be held somewhere else eventually. But for right now, it's okay. So I have 2 of each, besides hiding, which I have 3 of. And I'm gonna add to day 4 better way of storing node data. Because these would definitely go in a scriptable object if I had a good way of doing it. And maybe it'll be something like as simple as like there's an object in the scene that carries the data and then automatically sends that to the scriptable object, and then everything sources it from the scriptable object at the beginning of the game. Maybe. Maybe. But that also just feels bad to me, you know? I should just be able to have it on something and then everything can access it. Although maybe I just have it, then everything needs a reference to the node list. Maybe, I don't know. The next thing to do, we need to put the agent node on here. I think all of this agent, okay, we're way upping all of these values for now. So we're just testing. I think that that's good. Let's, if I play it, the rabbit should just move around. Okay, so I didn't change the duration yet. That's the issue. This timer duration should be 5, maybe. Although it should go somewhere at the start. Maybe it already did go somewhere. Maybe that's a node. We want to play focused so that I can go to the scene view. Yeah, it did move somewhere at the start because it started right here, I think. I feel like it should be moving somewhere else. Oh, there we go. I think the first time it must have just taken an unusually long amount of time. So at this point, he doesn't sense Hati, obviously, which is the problem, because I could just eat him, obviously. I mean, if that were implemented yet. So we're going to create a detection system, and it's going to be very, very rudimentary. On the NavMesh agent, or the rabbit, whatever you want to call it about the rabbit, we need to add a collider. A sphere collider? That's a thing. The sphere collider is going to be isTrigger. I'm going to have to remind myself how sphere colliders work, I think. But if we turn on gizmos, I should be able to see the collider. Oh no. Is something broken? Oh, I'm in game. I thought that it froze. It was just in game view. My bad, my bad. We're going to up the radius of the collider. So this is going to be the radius that the rabbit potentially can see Hati. Potentially. Right now, I think 15 is reasonable. I think 15 is reasonable. And I'm going to have to remind myself how Unity colliders work, so we're going to watch a video about that super quick.
Hello and welcome to Unity Explained. Today we'll be taking a look at colliders.
In order to make a collider into a trigger, we simply check that trigger checkbox on the component settings in the inspector. When a collider at a trigger, things will not bump into it. Instead, they will pass through it, and this can be detected via code. Similar to normal colliders, events are called when other colliders are overlapping with the trigger collider. In this example, we have a box collider with a trigger checked, and falling proper flange object enters the trigger, stays as rolls for, and exits to check the events. We attach a script to the trigger.
Okay, so I probably went on trigger stay. I hope that on trigger stay will run on the same frame that on trigger enter runs on. Otherwise, there might be a very, very, very slight delay. I guess it doesn't really matter though. Let's see what they say.
To the trigger, which is registering on trigger enter and logging to the console, and likewise on trigger state and trigger exit. So if we pause the game and step through a frame at a time looking at the console, will show that the object enters the trigger, stays for a number of frames, and eventually exits the trigger. In the same way as standard collisions, one of the two objects must have an arid body. It's standard practice to make your trigger zone a static object. Are you sure that one will be moved by the physics engine?
Wait.
That one will be moved by the physics engine? It's standard practice to make your trigger zone a static object.
Make your trigger zone a static object. Does he do that somewhere? Am I
Sure that one
crazy?
will be In the same way as standard collisions, one of the two objects must have an arid body. It's standard practice to make your trigger zone a static object. Are you sure that one will be moved by the physics engine? So, usually you'll make a trigger and then PS a rigid body through it. This example is no different.
When did they release this? 12 years ago? I think this is an AI
We're
voice.
passing a rigid body object through the triggers and detecting when something enters that trigger. So the attention with the trigger collider, also known as a trigger zone, is that you can call code without the objects in your game physically colliding. So, for example, with our hoverpad, we can add a force towards flanto give the effect of it overing, so long as it stays within the trigger zone. For example, we could address the object that's currently staying within the trigger because the object staying is saved in a variable called other of type collider. We could then address the rigid body and add a force in the direction of vector 3 UPA short.
Okay, I'm actually surprised that Unity would release a video like that, but I guess it was 12 years ago. We'll go with CodeMonkey.
In this video, we're going to cover how to handle simple collisions in Unity. We're going to look at colliders, rigid bodies, and all the various events. Let's begin. Channel beginner video. I'm making this because I've seen a lot of comments by people confused with how to get collisions working. One of the issues I see is a lot of people cannot get their triggers to register. It can be a bit tricky, so let's check it out. So for starters, let's make a new game object. So in here, create an empty one, and let's call this our health potion. And now let's add a component of type box collider 2D. So here you can already see the widget displaying the size of our collider. Now let's also add a sprite renderer. And now for our visual, over here I have a health potion texture and just drag it on there. Okay. And now we can click on this button in order to easily edit the collider and make it just big enough to capture the whole texture. Okay. Alright, so here is our simple object. Now let's make another object. So we're going to create an empty game object. This will be our player. And inside we have a component of type capsule collider 2D. Okay. And then also a visual, so a sprite renderer. Alright, so here it is, the sprite with the capsule collider on top. So now that we have these two simple objects, let's see how we can handle collisions. So first of all, on the health potion, over here on the collider properties, you can see we have a bunch of things we can change. For example, over here we have a box called isTrigger. This makes it so that this object is not physically solid and only triggers an event. This is great, for example, for making the player pick up an item. So we do want the player to be able to get inside of this box, so this is meant to be just a trigger, okay? And for the player, we'll leave it as not a trigger since we want it to be a solid object. Okay, and now in here I have a simple script with some basic movement, so just add it to the player. And here you can see the script is extremely small, very simple. Here we just have a function that's being called on, in this case, rigid body 2D. And here, since we're working on top-down, in order to make it not fall down, just set gravity to 0. However, the item itself does not need a rigid body. In order to get the collisions working, we just need one of the objects in the interaction to have a rigid body. So the item is fine just like this, just a box collider with its trigger set to true, and the player has a capsule collider and a rigid body. Okay, so now let's test this. Okay, here we are, and I can still move, and if I go towards the item, there you go, now we have our triggers correctly working. Awesome. So as you can see, it's very simple to fix this issue with collisions not triggering. All you need to do is make sure that you have at least one rigid body in that physics interaction. So now let's look at some more collisions.
Okay, so I might need Hati to
Alright,
have
so
a
here
rigid
I-
body. I think that, he might already, right? Because I think that the character controller node counts as having a rigid body on it. Unity does character controller have rigid body? It looks like they're different things. I'm just gonna try it. That's the best way to learn, right? So on Prey State Manager, we want on collision stay, I think was the method. Do I need to access the rigid body or something though? On collision stay, collision dot game object dot tag. Because we wanna check and see if the thing that's colliding has the player tag. And indeed, Hati does have the player tag already.
Okay, here we are, and I can move the player around, alright, with the trigger. So here let's just add a debug.log item
He probably covers this.
function in order to move just like normal. And there you go, token magic, so that, yep, lighting, pay attention to whether or not
How to check for tag of game object Unity. Okay, it's very, very easy actually. GameObject.tag equals player. Easy. And then we want to do if is equal to, then we're going to run the check threat script, which we haven't implemented yet, but it does exist as a definition. Do I want this here? I probably want this to be further down. This check threat method is just going to say, ooh, we want to pass in the game object. This says collision, right? So this is a collision. We should check what the collision class actually is, because I haven't used this in a really long time. Unity collision class. Okay, so the collision information is passed to collider.onCollisionEnter collider. Yeah, we got that. The game object whose collider you're colliding with. So if we just do collision.gameObject and we pass that in, we should get the information that we want. Because we want the transform of the game object. So we'll pass in the transform, I think. At least for right now. Maybe collider, let's say Hati transform. So we know it's going to be Hati because there shouldn't be anything else tagged in the game as player. So we'll pass in collision.gameObject.transform. And then in here, we want to compare the transform of Hati to our own. So we want to get the vector. We're going to have two vectors here, right? We're going to have transform dot forward, which is our forward direction. And then we're going to have Hati's vector of Hati relative to prey. And we're going to take the dot product of these things. So the way to get that there's a vector3 function for this. Vector3 unity. So it's like distance, except it should return a vector. I actually don't see what I'm looking for. I'll just look it up. Create a vector from 2 points unity. Oh, you just subtract them and throw them in a new vector. Okay. I think if you say transform.forward, I'm like 99.9% sure that this just gives you the transform of the object. So we want to take the dot product. Is it vector3 dot products? Dot product unity vector3 dot. And it's going to be transform dot forward and Hati transform dot position minus. Am I gonna have to call this a new vector3? I probably will, right? Transform dot position. Does that work? I don't even have to make a new vector. It'll just work. And then it's debug.log. We want to store this in a float. Dot product. What the heck? I've never had this before. Why is this? Why is system.diagnostics in here? Alright, now let's try it. It should be the case that it's spitting out a bunch of dot products. It is not spitting out a bunch of dot products. What if I leave the zone and go back in? My guess is that there has to be a rigid body on Hati. So let's try. I don't think I can have a rigid body and a character controller on Hati though, so that would be kind of annoying. Maybe I can. I guess let's just try it. I don't think this will work though. Yes, we need to find out where this is going wrong. We're going to debug this statement to just say collision. It is in fact not saying collision. We'll be right back. Okie dokie. My guess is the character controller overrides the rigid body. Yo, Yannick, what's up, my man? How's it going? Good to see ya. I don't know why your chat isn't showing up on stream though. That's kind of weird. Oh, is this your first time doing CG? I've gotten really good at it. It is definitely a pain. You go in blind? Did you do the regular gauntlet yet? First try? Did you get it or no? Oh, good for you. I can't believe you did Corrupted Gauntlet first try? That's awesome. Oh shit. That was not what I wanted. No, the normal? What does that mean? Oh, the regular gauntlet, yeah. The regular gauntlet is quite a bit easier, but I'm still glad you got it. Oh shit, did it just log me out of all of my services on the thing that combines my streams? It might have. That'd be really sad. Are you gonna go for CG now, or are you not sure? For CG, I just do T1. T2 is like much, much, much easier for getting the kill, but I'm pretty inconsistent with whether or not I can get it done. So T1 just makes more sense for me. Hey, let's go. Okay, I don't know why it signed out for no reason. Okay, getting back to this. Are you trying to go for armor level 2? I mean, you can, like, if you... I would say go T1 if you killed the regular Hunlef with a lot of confidence. If you struggled on the regular Hunlef, you should definitely go T2. Did you do T2 for the regular? All right, we want to character, controller, interact with collider, with trigger, collider, unity. You want trigger messages, not collision. Gotcha. Really? On trigger stay is what I want. On trigger stay. What are we doing here, boys? Why don't we like the private? Oh. Yeah, that messed up my code for no reason. So we're gonna call this trigger. Alas, I'm not getting a trigger message either. provides contacts. On trigger, character, controller, Unity. Do I need this colon? Oh, I thought so. A character controller implicitly comes with a collider, but behaves a bit different when it comes to collision callbacks. After some testing, on trigger enter works, on collision enter does not work. Instead of that, you should use on controller collider hit when moving the character with move. So if on trigger enter is not working for you, double check whether the collider you're colliding against is actually marked as trigger, or whether your character controller has non-zero height radius. If it's a bug in the version I'm using, I'll scream. This definitely says is trigger. Although, did my scripts recompile? I have to check that every time, which is probably the most irritating possible thing. I wonder if colliders work on navmesh agents. Like if I just... Or, maybe I can't call it from this script. Let's see.
They are supposed to be kinematic. If you want to learn more, say box collider with this trigger set to true, and the player has a capsule collider and a rigid body. Okay, so now let's test this. Okay, here we are, and I can still move, and if I go towards the item, there you go, now we have our triggers correctly working. Awesome. So as you can see, in order to make so this is the part that really confuses some people. They both have their colliders correctly set up, so why is nothing happening? Well, the reason is because the physics system is meant to work with rigid bodies and not just empty colliders. So here in our player, we need to add a rigid body, in this case, rigid body 2D, and here since we're working on top-down, in order to make it not fall down, just set gravity to 0. However, the item itself does not need a rigid body. In order to get the collisions working, we just need one of the objects in the interaction to have a rigid body. So the item is fine just like this, just a box collider with its trigger set to true, and the player has a capsule.
Maybe if we give the prey a rigid body. Come on, move again, move again. Prove to me you can. Cool. Index was outside the bounds of the array. I'm not going to worry about that right now.
Box called isTrigger. This makes it so that this object is not physically solid and only triggers an event. This is great, for example, for making the player pick up an item. So we do want the player to be able to get inside of this box. So this is meant to be just a trigger, okay? And for the player, we'll leave it as not a trigger since we want it to be a solid object. Okay, and now in here I have a simple script with some basic movement, so just add it to the player. And here you can see the script is extremely small, very simple. Here we just have a function that's being called on update called handle our movement, and we're testing for inputs and moving our transform. That's it, very simple. And now in order to capture our trigger, we need to add a function. So we're going to add a function on trigger enter 2D. So this is the function that is called whenever this object is involved in a collision with a trigger. So here let's just add a debug.log and say something. Alright, so let's test. Okay, here we are, and I can move the player around. Alright, makes sense. And now let's check out the log whenever I approach the item, and I go, and nope, we have nothing happening. So this is the part that really confuses some people. They both have their colliders correctly set up, so why is nothing happening? Well, the reason is because the physics system is meant to work with rigid bodies and not just empty colliders. So here in our player, we need to add a rigid body, in this case, rigid body 2D. And here, since we're working on top-down, in order to make it not fall down, just set gravity to 0. However, the item itself does not need a rigid body. In order to get the collisions working, we just need one of the objects in the interaction to have a rigid body. So the item is fine just like this, just a box collider with its trigger set to true, and the player has a capsule collider and a rigid.
So, like, couldn't it be the case that if something enters your collider, like, you should be able to know if something enters your collider, right? Am I crazy here? It's kind of my first game. It's my first, like, real big girl game. Did you get your CG, Casey?
Body. Okay, so now let's test this. Okay, here we are, and I can still move, and if I go towards the item, there you go, now we have our triggers correctly working. Awesome. So as you can see, it's very simple to fix this issue with collisions not triggering. All you need to do is make sure that you have at least one rigid body in that physics interaction. So now let's look at some more collisions. Alright, so over here I made a static wall and a bunch of debris. So the wall is meant to be static, and we should be able to push the rocks around. So
Like, something I'm struggling with right now is this is my first time doing any game dev in a year or a year and a half or something like that, so I'm having to remind myself of a lot of basic things. Like, can I see what collider this is trying to access? Because if it's trying to access the collider of Hati, then that won't work. Character, controller, triggering, action on other collider. Okay, so a character controller does seem to count. Part of the complication is that I don't want these characters to physically collide with one another. Alright, here's what we'll do instead. I'm gonna see if I can make this work. Because like Hati, let's just triple check, does have the player tag. Even if it didn't have the player tag, it should still identify that there's a collision. So we're gonna make a 3D object cube. This cube has a box collider already, which is awesome. We'll put isTrigger on and we'll say rigid body. Now, from the very start of the game, there should be console logs telling me about this. But there aren't. Or did I not make the cube properly? First thing that I should see is a collision. There is no collision though. And if I turn off isTrigger, I'm gonna bet there's still no collision. So it might be unique. If we do this, right? And then we throw a script on one of these. Collision test. And then in collision test, all we're gonna do is the exact same thing. We're gonna copy the code. And we should just get endless debug logs. And if we don't, I don't actually understand what I'm doing. Maybe this doesn't exist inside of the class? Could that be my issue? We're not getting... Okay, so I don't understand something. There's something that is definitely... Wait, neither of these had isTrigger on. Still nothing. Is this my old... This is my old project. I'm editing code in my old project. That's why it's not working. I'm a fool, right? Yeah. This is just the wrong everything. What a terrible mistake to make. Yo, Yannick, you didn't tell me. Did you get your CG, Casey? Did I delete the other one? Okay, tell me when you get it, alright? I want to celebrate with you. Oh shit, now I have to go back to what I just removed and copy code from there because I saved it, but I didn't copy it. Why do you think I'll be streaming for 16 hours? I'm not that crazy. Oh, I see the meme. No, I think you can get it sooner than 16 hours. And if not, you know what? I'll be streaming. I guess I won't be streaming tomorrow. I wish I would be. We still didn't get a trigger. Because like this in and of itself should be triggering something. What if it needs to enter first? Like that would be really, 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 really stupid. but I could see it happening. Where are the boxes? Is this just a Unity issue? Am I just like, is this just like a Unity doesn't run well on Linux issue? The boxes aren't here. They disappeared. Why would they disappear? I think Unity's just bugging out. That's so frustrating. That's so frustrating. Where is this coming from? Oh shit! They're not recompiling! That's the actual issue! It's not recompiling! It only recompiled for the first time right there, I bet. Okay, so I have to fix the recompiling issue, and I also have to fix the fact that the cubes are bugging out. What? That it's not recompiling? That is so frustrating. I don't know why I entered safe mode. It's like I'm stupid, but I'm not that stupid. Oh, they're falling through the ground. That's good to know. And it is triggering. So both of these things. Oh my god, there's no way that the rabbit. There's no way this rigid body is falling, right? I mean, I've got gravity turned off, but still. Is it just not? I don't even know. I mean, the rabbit's staying there, so it's not falling. But it wouldn't like be just the sphere collider that's falling, right? That would be silly. That would be incredibly silly. I should be able to see it in the game mode. I do see the collider. Let's get rid of these boxes now. See if it triggers. Yes, it does. Okay, so I actually haven't been having any issues except that Unity doesn't want to recompile. I do know what I'm doing. Damn it. We're fixing this. Linux, Unity, not auto recompiling after saving scripts. Because I can't keep being confused like this. It's too stupid. Auto refresh was disabled in prefs. Auto. It says auto refresh is enabled. Enabled outside play mode. Import worker count %. What it linked me to was different. I assume they updated it. Like there, right there, it just auto refreshed. Maybe just opening that page in the preferences was enough to make it figure its shit out. That's probably over optimistic, right? We're gonna set it to refresh outside of play mode. Because I don't need it to refresh in play mode, and maybe it'll figure itself out. Like that time it did it. Oh yeah, the import? What import? This time it did not do it. But it seems like if I press Control R, then it auto refreshes. So at least I have control over it, right? I have some level of control. I could maybe set it to the same hotkey. I don't know if it'll let me do this, but if I can set it to the same hotkey as my play hotkey, that would be bomb ass fire nuts, okay? No, I don't want to reassign. It's fine. I'll just try to remember to refresh every time before I go in play mode. So now we want to debug the dot product. It should be doing that already, actually. I didn't see it doing it, but it should be doing it. Maybe I didn't refresh it because it's still giving me the trigger debug. If I refresh and then I go back in, there should be no trigger message. Okay, I am getting a number. -6 shouldn't ever, a dot product should never be -6. Unless I've forgotten is this not actually taking the dot product? Dot product of two vectors. It should only return -1 to 1. Am I crazy? Dot product returning value outside -1 to 1 unity. Uh-oh, there are no results. Are you kidding me? This is not that specific. Oh, the vectors maybe need to be normalized? Is the function vector 3.normalize or is it just normalize? Vector 3.normalize. It also could be that subtracting 2 points does not return a vector. Or does not, I don't even know what I'm saying. It's still returning strange values. They are values that I would expect at least. Like if I go to the side, then it gets progressively smaller. And then if I go to the front, it gets progressively bigger. Yeah. But why it's not 1 to -1 is baffling. Wait. I didn't... I'm gonna have to get used to refreshing manually every time, I think. Okay, now that I've normalized the vectors, it's giving me what I want, which is awesome. Much appreciated. So now that we have the dot product, I can actually work on developing the game! Yay! I solved all of my bullshit issues. What we're trying to do right now, as I constantly have to remind myself, is have it respond to the threat of Hati. So, if the dot product is greater than 0, we are going to enact the switch state function. Now we're going to have to include some error checking in this code that I already used on Hati, because it can't, if it tries to switch states on the same frame, it might bug out for a bit. Because like if it tries to switch to a hiding state, and then it finishes executing the frame and it's in resting state, it might choose to go to drinking state. It's really unlikely, but it might happen. And the drinking state will override the hiding state. So we want to make sure it'll actually be really simple. We're just going to say, do we want this? If current state is hiding, pre-hiding state, return. That's it. That's all we need. Or is it here? It's here, actually. Because check switch state is just, well, either one should work. Although this is going to be more guaranteed. We're also going to need to include a new dying state. Probably we'll need to include a new dying state. And if that's the case, this is actually kind of a messy way of coding. We'll leave it in here for now. Let me check and see if we're recording. I hope we're recording. Yeah, we are. Yes. So if the dot product is greater than 0, we are going to switch state. And we're going to give them pre-hiding state. Although we have to make this state. And we're giving it hiding nodes. Yay! Yay! So we're also going to want, if dot product is greater than 0, or Hati transform dot position is close enough. Transform dot position. Ooh. I'm gonna have to think about this. Let's say inner threshold. Float inner detection threshold. I don't know if that's a satisfying name, but it's what we're going to use for right now. Or the Hati transform dot position. Let's think about what we actually want for the math here. So at the very back, if dot product is equal to -1, then we want to use the inner detection. We use inner detection threshold. Between 0 and -1, we blend inner detection and regular threshold. So we also need to define the regular threshold, which we should automatically, we should automatically set this to the radius actually. So float outer detection threshold. And this shouldn't go in this script long term, but again, we're just getting stuff down. On start, we'll define a new function, set detection outer detection threshold. We'll make a new script for this, a new method for this. All this is going to do is say, we need to get the sphere collider component. So hold on, GameObject.get component, is that it? Unity get component on GameObject. I had it. Why isn't it autofilling? Ah, so we just leave off the game object. Or do we? I don't know. Get components. Oh, they go in the little... Get component sphere collider method. And then on, sphere collider equals, and then on here we say collider.radius equals outer detection threshold. And then we will define this on the rabbit. Is it not refreshing the scene, or is it already refreshed? There's no way it's refreshed, so it's just not... Now Control R doesn't even work? What the heck? Oh my god, is Unity just broken? Is Unity just garbage on Linux? That would be so sad. I must be doing something wrong, surely. I mean, yeah, I would expect errors. Oh, it wasn't refreshing because it couldn't refresh because there were errors, but I guess, like, if it couldn't refresh because there were errors, that's, like, really not good. For the way that I'm coding. For the way that anyone codes. Like, you need to be able to have errors temporarily so that you can know what those errors are. Where did I put all of my information before? I didn't, like, put it on the wrong thing, did I? Oh, it's here. Yeah, it's there. Okay, that time it works. I didn't make them public. That's why I'm confused. Obviously. I can just serialize the field, though. I don't actually need to make it public. Okay. Now. I still can't? It's still not here? What do you mean it's not here? I serialized it, right? Oh, do I need to refresh? I'm really gonna have to get used to refreshing. But it's not even letting me do that. Is there a way I can do it through the menu? Assets. I think it's under assets. Refresh. Maybe I need to reinstall this thing. Might just reinstall this version of Unity. Because I modified. I guess what I did was I made a folder. Maybe I need to make another folder. Or something. Alright. Now, the rabbit. Now it has it. Okay, I'm not insane. I'm not insane. Alright, so instead of telling it to switch to hiding state immediately, we're just going to debug this. We're going to say wolf is close. And then we'll comment out these two. And then we will define this math, because this math I still haven't figured out. So if the dot product is -1, we want it to equal the inner detection threshold. If it's between 0 and -1, we blend the inner detection and the outer detection. So we want to multiply. We want to say dot product equals float inner detection dot product not inner detection, threshold, inner detection amount equals the dot product times -1 times 5 times the inner detection threshold So what this gets us is a list of numbers from 0 to 5 right now. And what we actually want it to be, we want to determine what the threshold actually is at any given point. So we want the difference between the outer and the inner, outer minus, this is going to be 15 minus 5 in this example. -15 minus 5 is going to give us 10. 10 times -1 times a negative dot product is going to get us a range of values from 0 to 10. I want it to be like, if the dot product is -0.5, for example, then it should have to be halfway between the inner and the outer threshold in order for the prey to notice. So I want to lerp. I want to lerp between these two. It's going to be what, float lerp? Lerp. Float lerp? I forget how this works. It's really, really simple math, though. Float lerp unity. Mathf.lerp. And I'm lerping between the outer and the inner. And then it's going to be between the negative dot product so now there's a gradient. Why is, oh, inner detection threshold. So this gives us a range of values from 5 to 15. This is exactly what we want, right? Because it's either, we want to compare this value to the distance from Hati to the prey, right? If this is giving us a range from our inner detection to our outer detection, yes, this is exactly what we want. So inner detection, lerped, inner detection, lerped threshold. We'll just say inner detection threshold new. Is that right? Yeah. Threshold multiplier, maybe. Because we should be saying if Hadi transform dot position minus transform dot position is less than this amount. What does this need? Why is this red? Oh, we want vector 3 dot distance on these two. The distance between inner Hati transform dot position and transform dot position. Is that how you, does threshold have 2 H's or 1? Threshold. That's crazy. That's weird because you say the H twice, right? You say it once in the SH sound and then you say it once in the H sound. Well, the more you know, my friends. It doesn't make logical sense, but it is more efficient, so I don't mind it. It didn't auto refresh. It didn't manually refresh. Is it really just refusing to refresh completely? Because like it should be saying, for sure, it should be saying wolf is close when the dot product is greater than 0. So if you're in front of the wolf. Oh, maybe it can't refresh and... Okay, Unity is just destroyed. It could be what I did yesterday caused it to delete itself. I think I'm going to reinstall Unity. Because like it used to work fine. Given that it used to work fine, if we reinstall it should be okay. So we're going to uninstall. I'm going to bring this over here just in case. I know it blocks it out, but still. These are fine for now. I know what the solution is. I know the solution to the preferences issue is make dir, so I'm just going to type that in here. Home dot local share is that there is a Unity 3D folder, so I don't have to make it again. Is it installing? I told it to install, right? Am I crazy? It is. It's downloading. All right, I'm going to go pick up a package, but I'll be right back. In like 5. Let me just throw some text up here. because this is just going to take time to download anyway. refresh, it's still broken? What if I go to edit or assets, refresh? Nothing. Was it in play mode? Okay, play mode is still broken too. Unity, wait. I gotta remember to turn my volume back on. So, like, we have all of the same problems, unfortunately. Oh, this time it works. Because I was pressing play mode and it wasn't playing. At that time, at least it refreshed the scripts. And that time. But, like, it's not detecting, it's not even, registering. I imagine this has to do with the way the radius is being set. If we look in here, the sphere collider, the radius is set to 0 for some reason. Maybe on the rabbit it didn't save. Okay, so we need to define these. I probably want to reorder that too. Now it's debugging. Wolf is close, and it's like not as far, and then it's further out here. So it is actually doing exactly what we want it to do. And then if I go, it shouldn't take long. Yeah, it doesn't take long to stop signaling it. All right, my code works fine. It's just this stupid application that I'm struggling with. Unity is harming me far more than my code. That's unfortunate. So we're going to reorder these to make more sense to me. Does it auto-refresh? We're not in the game, and it's not letting me refresh. Oh, that's so frustrating. It, like, wants to. It just doesn't. Now it does. Like, what did I have to click up here in order for it to refresh? Maybe it will work if we disable this entirely. Enable outside play mode. Maybe I just need it to be enabled. We'll try leaving it enabled. That didn't work. I wonder if it's checking to see if there's anything to refresh, because if there isn't anything to refresh, maybe it just skips it. Just a random debug.log statement. No refresh. But it did do it when I clicked it. And then if I get rid of it, no automatic refresh. It doesn't when I click it. Okay, so I think that what was shooting me in the foot was just auto refresh was enabled outside play mode instead of enabled. I hope. I hope. Okay, all we should have to do now, since this is working adequately, we're going to comment out the debug, and we're going to comment in the changing state. And now, let's start the rabbit off. Let's start Hati off further away so that we can test this properly. The hiding locations, to remind all of us, are here, here, and here. So if it goes to one of those places, that means that it worked. Oh, it didn't refresh. And it's choosing not to. Oh, big Sag. I wonder why it will do it sometimes and it won't do it others. Linux, Unity, refresh, not working. My guess is that like the auto refresh is working. It's just that it can't, like the refresh command is just messed up. Refresh doesn't work at all. Unity 6.0 doesn't support Arch officially. Unity editor crashes with pipe error message. Increase maximum open file limit. It only has one error on this page though. What if I updated the Unity hub? I know that seems like a long shot, but it's worth a try, right? Because this was working adequately. Is it even listed in here though? I don't know why I went to the bottom. Unity hub. This says it isn't even installed. My guess is there's different versions though. Yo, thanks for the follow, Dananje. Did I say that right? Good, I'm glad. Right now, Unity is deciding to not auto refresh. I mean, not only is it not auto refreshing, but the refresh command itself is buggy, and I imagine this is a Linux issue, unfortunately. But we're going to, because I forgot how to do this, how to find name of app in system Linux. How's your day going? I can look at the desktop file, that's true. Unity. Or maybe not. Actually, let's just look up what I think I installed it like forcibly though. Because if I just say, I'm just typing in sudo apt update Unity, I doubt this will work. Sudo update Unity. Sudo apt update maybe. I don't think that did anything. That's fine. Editor project must be closed. Oh, probably to change these things. I could also try, I don't think removing and adding the project again will work. This project is connected to Unity Cloud? Why? Alright. I'm gonna hope this keeps working, and if it doesn't keep working, which it probably won't keep working, I'll go back to troubleshooting it. But my code is working, because it just went and hid right over here, so it worked perfect. We love that. Ignore the error. I'm sure the error doesn't matter. So, right now, if it's checking for a threat, we actually want to say, we want to add another condition to this. Okay, and it's going to be maybe even to this. And if, or sorry, and current state is not hiding, prey hiding state. Now this will make it so that it won't endlessly try to enter hiding state over and over again. So now we're going to define, we're gonna tell it what to do in the hiding state, which should be kind of simple, kind of hard. Unity is a bitch, okay? Unity doesn't want to refresh ever. It's really irritating. But yeah, I mean, like, it's not crashing completely at least. But what we have right now is actually pretty cool, okay? So the rabbit will fuck off and do its own thing. It might not choose to, it's gonna take, it checks every 5 seconds. So eventually it will go to a new position if we just wait. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. It will do it. There's like a 0.3 chance per, okay, it moves to a different place. Where did it go? Did it go hide? My guess is that it went and hid. Yeah, it did. So it moved, it saw us. Yeah. It moved, it saw us, and therefore it went and it hid. But I will also show you it will detect us better from the front and from the sides. So it goes and hides much quicker like that. And then if I approach it directly from the back, it's going to take a bit longer. I can get a lot closer, right? And then it goes and it hides, which is awesome. Exactly what we want. So now I think that while it's running away from us, it should be doing a few things. We need to make sure that it's taking into account where Hati is. Yeah, exactly. So we need to make sure that it's taking account where Hati is when it picks what path it wants to go to. That is very, very important. So we basically want to take the prey movement controller. We want to give it another transform, and that transform should be Hati's position. I wonder, we could just have it always know where Hati is. That's like kind of it's not a hard coding solution. It's less, like what I would like is I really want to have an array of threats, but making it an array is completely unnecessary to what I want the final implementation to be, and I can always make it an array later. So instead, I think that we're going to store transform threat transform. Yeah, that's fine. And then this actually needs to be public. Oh, I don't know if I asked. How's your day going, Ketamine? Do you have any meetings that could have been emails? I hope not. I mean, like, I don't know. To me, I don't know these programs. I don't know these languages, right? I'm just like struggling through. But like to get to my level, I guess I coded in it for like a year, maybe. I've probably spent a year actually coding in this project. And I knew a little bit of programming before this, but like not that much. And I guess my process of learning was just working on this game. And I did like 4 or 5 game tutorials before this where I was just following what other people told me to do, and then I started making this game. One stand up and you got to dip, not a bad Friday? Hell yeah, I'm happy for you. I'm glad it was easy. We don't need this debug anymore. We want to store the transform, so we'll say transform threat. What I'm debating right now is where do I want this code to set? Probably the earlier we have this information, the better. So we'll just put it here. It's fine. Do I need to do this like do I really need to be doing this every time? We'll put it here. It's fine. It will be minorly more efficient. I was feeling really bad earlier today, actually. I got a late start again to this stream. I took some sleeping medication last night and it was good and I actually slept, but like I felt groggy when I woke up, so like I am better rested, but also the sleeping medication is kind of still having its effects. But we're muddling through. I'm getting work done, even though Unity's being a bitch. We're doing okay. I think I'll be able to finish what I want to finish today. I am working on it. Okay, I got a blood test recently. This is the first time in my life that I've been able to like get decent healthcare. I had a blood test done recently. I have high cortisol apparently, which isn't surprising to me. So I'm gonna see what my doctor says about that. I actually have a doctor's appointment for it this week. But all of my other tests came back completely normal, which is great. We love that. That will indeed do it. I've had sleeping issues my entire life though, so. Yeah, now that I have the money to do something about it. Okay, so we need like we're gonna need a juke method. Okay, we're gonna put this underneath exit. Private void juke. And we probably want a private void recalculate path or something like this, although this might be going in the pre-movement controller. Because right now, the way this is set up, it's just a chain, right? It just goes down the list, basically, in terms of the methods it runs. And in this method, in the decide path method, this should probably take in an optional parameter, which I don't know how to use those. So I'm not going to make it an optional parameter. I could just say if null, then continue. Then we can just pass in null. Yeah, I think that'll work. But we want to make it so that... Do we want to get the dot product of the distance to the first waypoint? I think that makes sense. Because like if we look at the way that we find the path length, it's just the path corners I minus 1. I starts at 1, which means that the first one is 1 minus 0. So if we wanted to figure out the initial direction that the prey would travel in, See, what I'm questioning though is, are the waypoints determined based on like angular velocity and shit like that? I don't think that they would be, but if they are, that would mess with things. Unity do path corners take into account angularity of agent. I think they're vector 3s. You can get the distance from them, but they're vector 3s. Taking into account agent radius. Yeah. The waypoint coordinates aren't the distance, though. They're just the points. And then to get the distance, you would subtract one point from another. I wonder, we should be able to visualize the waypoints, right? So if I did like, there's an onDraw gizmos here, right? There isn't the other one, so I can go to the other one. Actually, I should know what I'm doing. What was, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I have to look it up. Unity, onDraw, gizmos. Sphere. Or even a line, probably. Can we do lines? Line. Okay, this is what we want. And then we're gonna copy from here. My guess is that it's gonna show underneath the nav mesh. Oh no, it doesn't have access to any of the information. Do I need it to? I don't need it to. Also, I copied the wrong thing. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do this in a static method. We'll put it on the nav mesh surface. Add component, visualize path. Does it already have something for this? Nav mesh, is there a visualize path function unity? I wonder if I can copy this code. Did it not let me create it? I just didn't finish clicking. That checks out. Why? What the heck? That's what you want? This? Oh, that includes that. Okay. So we want whatever coroutines need. Unity using statement for coroutines. I mean, I'm literally just... Oh wait, hold on. This is setting the path too. I don't even want to set the path. So I don't need this at all. I should just need to give this a reference to the nav mesh. Oh, I need to give it a reference to the agent actually. Oh, you are done, my friend. You are out of here, my bot. That was a lot. I don't know why someone would program something like that. Like I'm gonna read all that text. So we're going to, we need to use Unity.ai. I feel like this is going to need to go in update, but we'll see. We'll see. Did this call? This doesn't even call draw path, which is interesting. So we're going to throw this in here because it might be needed. We don't need the rest of this. We do need a path. So we're going to say put draw path in the update function. Where does path get used? Can we access it from the agent? Agent dot path. Oh, is this a thing? You're not going to give me any information about it? No definition found. Okay. We don't care about coroutines. I feel like gizmos might be a better way to do this. All right. I can figure this out. This shouldn't be taking me this long. It's okay. We do just need a path, I think, because this would be enough to visualize it in gizmos. The way we get the path here, we create a path. We pass it into navmesh calculate path. When we actually move the agent, we move it to a destination. We calculate the path by giving it a source position, a target position. Okay. So this is the function we want. What does it return? True if a complete or partial path is found. Okay, so if it's not true, then we return. That's perfectly fine. So we're going to copy this whole bit of code. for this to work, we need an agent. We need, actually, we can maybe access it from the state manager. If I just go to update and I say agent dot, does it have it should have the agent dot path. I keep trying to do the same thing over and over again. Because it would be easier. Property to get and set the current path. Yeah, this works. So navmesh agent dot path. This is a navmesh agent. So we want to say path equals agent dot path. Cannot be used like a method. How do I get it? How do I say get path? How to get a property. C#, how to, we don't need to be caps, how to get a property. You think so? You might be right. Cannot convert AI.nav, so we don't want it to be system.io, so we want it to be unity engine.ai.path or navmesh agent.path. Yeah, I think you're right. I just need to figure out the right, oh wait, can I just remove the system? Can I remove system.io? I shouldn't need that. Is it not red? Okay. Now we might be able to just say path. Navmesh agent.path. Is path not a type? What is it? Because it's declaring something of type AI.navmesh path. Oh wait, AI.navmesh path, is that, do I need to type the full thing? There we go, navmesh path. And then so we can do this directly in here. I know this is messy as shit, but like, we're getting it, okay? We're getting it. It can be messy. I think we need to use Unity. Oh, we are using Unity.ai. Why is this red? Unity engine.ai. Then the agent is getting plugged directly in. An object reference. But there is a reference. Oh, we need to initialize it. No, we shouldn't need to initialize it. When is it also used? In here? Yes, in here. Except it's not defined in here, so who cares? Oh, it's used here. This is the issue. So we're doing two things. We don't need to take in anything, because we are Some bomb-ass bitches. We still need an object reference. Which I don't understand, because if it's public, then it... Do you need to pass the agent, though? I mean, the agent is up here, right? I mean, hypothetically, there's no reason that this can't just be serialized field, navmesh agent, agent. Yo, Kick is pissing me off. I really might stop streaming on Kick. I don't know. I mean, it's probably the same person who's doing both, right? I guess I can just look. Oh, I can't look anymore. So why is it working over here? That's the question, right? Because, or in here. It did work in here. Up here, it's public navmesh agent agent. Up here, it's navmesh agent agent. It should be the exact same thing, no? They're defined in the exact same way. I mean, I had it public before. I mean, I can switch this to public and it'll probably still have the same issue. Like, I don't remember how to do this. Is it F12? Not F12. Shift Alt F12. We're changing that. Hover over the red agents. Oh, it's saying something about it not being defined. An object reference is required. Which I don't understand, because that's why I'm looking up here. Like, there isn't an object reference over here in this file that exists. The only times it's used